Hey guys, Martin here from Awaken Realms, and today I have a quite awesome video to make in regards of showing you the current state of Etherfields. Now I didn't like put I wasn't too much involved in the whole development process. This is a game that Mihail was responsible for mostly, but recently I kind of played it a lot, and because probably because there's no hairdressers and I'm looking like a homeless man, they delegated me to show it to you guys. Either way, I'll try my best way to show you what's happening. I will try to omit spoilers, so I'll try to keep it as spoiler-free as possible. At some point in the video, I'll just give you a glimpse into the one dream. I will be like very clear about this is spoilers and everything and so forth and so forth. So without further ado, oh yeah, one more important stuff. Because there is the whole quarantine, we're working from home, COVID and so forth and so forth, what we had to do is we had to enable blind testing, which is really important part of testing the game. We had to do a tabletop port instead of like a normal physical version. So I'll be showing you guys things through the tabletop simulator, sharing my screen, and there you can see it. I hope it will be somehow cool to see and will give you the glimpse of all the changes, and I will just talk around about all the changes that were made. Right, let me share the screen with you guys. All right, okay, cool. All right, so this is kind of setup of most of the components. There's no miniatures. The masks are hidden here, for example. So yeah, this, it's not perfect, but first of all I want you to see all the awesome work for the layout that was done. Here you got the normal cards, then you have the special cards, like the advancement versions of those characters. You can see all the amazing art here. Also, I love the layout, so you can see the three main marks of the influence that we'll have on the dream world. We have then the additional influence cards our characters will be able to buy. We got fates, we got flaws, we got items, turn cards, wisdom cards. There's the special addition for the Torn Knight for everyone who got this add-on. There are slumbers. Here are some cards that I prepared, and there are exploration cards. And just to show you the size, overall size, here you got over 260 cards, because some of them are prepared to show you the scenarios of the exploration cards, just to show you the deck size today. So there are some additional cards in here for the exploration as well. Slumber, 60 cards. You got wisdoms, 12 turn cards, 30 items, 33 influence here, but here you have 82. Fate, flaws. It's like a lot of cards, you can trust me on this one. And the game is just humongous with the amount of content, and it is not just like the content for the content's sake, but everything is pretty much unique. I will not show you stuff because I cannot pick up spoilers, but you can trust me that in here there are some really extremely different things from one dream to another. It's pretty huge. Also, you might notice that, for example, I will show you the world map here, like the example of a world map card. This is not final layout. This is the version that we have from a few weeks back, and there are some kind of, like, you see the dots, they are just done just for the layout to be done. So there might be some correction, there might be some kind of like Polish words randomly flying around, because it is not the kind of the closed files yet, but it should give you the overall idea of how things works. What's also striking is the board. I prepared the Slumber map here, but if you look closely, I think it just looks so great. I will just hold on. I will just show it in a full glory, because I think it looks just amazing. Here we have. Then we have the places for all the cards. Then we have this is like a totally new mechanics that was introduced. Slots for items, slots for turns, slots for enemies and such. The world map, slot for the world map, fate cards, and the floor cards. Yeah, I will just show you layouts on the hours on some cards. So as it was before, when you play, you can, like, if you have this card on the top of your deck, you can use the special actions, and every character have their own deck and their own actions. But as you buy other cards into your deck, you'll have be able to use this action less and less, and then obviously you can do you have to reverse those actions. They will upgrade when your character upgrade. So I'll just show you some of the first cards from the Gambler decks, and after that I will just explain a little bit of how it works. So you have the Gambler, you have the Free Spirit, and those decks sometimes share cards. Other time they have unique cards. So it depends, but they are asymmetric, and playing every character feels differently. Then just to show you some other random card from Influence deck that you can get. For example, get an Insight, and you can see that this is like a neutral card, so every character can get it. A Fate card. The Fates are used on the maps, so something happens basically when you travel on the world map. And I love those cards because they have this special kind of layout with text that are covered. I think they look amazing. And those are basically kind of different events that happens when you travel through the map. They can be good, bad, neutral. Different flaws are basically the things that, like, curses that we get, and as you can see, like this for example is muting you. So if you're playing co-op, you cannot talk with people until you pay for it, and also you cannot use contact, which is the green symbol. You get some items. They also look great with the multi-use. Turn card, and this is actually very cool changes. As you can see, they have the card symbols on them, and they are totally different from what they were. So they do, like, this is basically the AI deck of the enemies, and it dictates what they are doing and in what order, which is quite important. And one really cool thing about what I really love this change about is that you'll be doing some random encounters when you go to the map, and those cards will also dictate you the loot. So whenever you defeat the enemy in the Slumber, it may say, not always, but it may say that you're gonna get loot, and the loot is not dictated by enemy but by this card. So it gets much more strategical, because you might want to really kill this enemy or defeat him in this turn because the loot is amazing, or you want to wait, so you will keep him alive because maybe some other turn will come, and for example each dreamer may suffer 1 pain to gain 1 ether, which is kind of cool, good deal. So kind of love this change because it gives you a lot of decision making. Not only it dictates not only what the enemies do, but also kind of have this tactic element when you're playing on the map. There are some wisdom cards, which is kind of showing you the new rules. We will not look into them because they are highly spoilerish. And then we have the cards for the Torn, which can be used by every character, and the special item, and the 24-hour bonus that we had on the campaign. And then we got a Slumber cards, and there are kind of different encounters that you can meet in there. Again, trying to keep it spoiler free. This is the cards I prepared for the scenario that I'm going to kind of show you. And here you get just a lot of stuff happening, but as I said, some of those cards are just in text. Here you have the back for masks. It's kind of hard to see them in the tabletop simulator, but they are pretty much, they don't have that much changes from the prototype, but it has, obviously the rules have been much more polished. All right. Yeah, I will not be showing you the exploration cards deck because it is full of spoilers. I'll just go ahead and show you the changes that were done. I will set up the Slumber map first. So the Slumber map is basically your kind of arena that you will be fighting off the smaller encounters where you travel from up in between the dreams. And there's like a lot of changes. So hold on, let me talk about it. So you will start with some kind of like 4 cards. I'm not sure 100% of those 4 cards, but basically some of the cards. And as you can see closer to those, there's a quirk card which sometimes modifies the encounter. For example, it can start snowing, or there are different things that can happen. And you get another quick card in here. So it can change from dream to dream. So even that you have more or less the same settings, a lot can change around it. Then you have the some special rules. This is like the spawn place of different kinds, depending also on the turn cards. And here's the symbol that right now here it's dark, but it also again can change, and some items might use, or actions might use, the dark symbols or not. So it's a lot of kind of different rules connected with what symbols there are and they aren't. Not only here, but in also scenarios, there are a lot of them used. And there are some actions that you can do even in the slumbers. So even that you get a slumber, maybe you want to get, for example, here and gain 1 hour, and we'll get to our mechanics in later. Or for example, you can relocate your dreamer to any space with kind of this symbol, right? But the thing is that it shows you that when can you play it, and you will not be always to play it, because you got the turn cards, right? And for example, in this turn, I could only play those 2 actions. And so it gives you this randomity. So it's not like you always can play those actions in here, because then you would be able to just always do the same thing over and over again. This gives you much more more decision making you need to make. You need to look what turn is right now, what your enemy is going to do, what you can do on the map, what are the special quick slots, and so forth. So this made the slumbers much more exciting. There's so much happening. Every time it's different. Even with the same enemies, you never know what to expect, and so forth. So I'll just talk a little bit about the enemies. Let me just take some random slumber. Okay, so that this slumber would be like an encounter that will happen. But let's go for for example, strangers. So as you can see, those cards have basic actions roll, and they can also have like a special actions on metamorphosis. I will kind of show you. Maybe some other turn card that have more of it. Yeah, morphing. Let's try to find a morphing and a special action. Yeah, okay, this one. Perfect. So depending on this will dictate what the enemy will do. So obviously when you roll the movement die, they will be rolling this die, and they are different sizes. This is like a short move, so only 1 space. This is a longer move, which is dictated by this. This actually has only, so it always moves only by one space. First of all, you will come to right upper corner, which dictates how many turns this encounter will have. So basically, this is your turn card, and after this turn is done, after you all done your actions, the turn is done. The enemy does his action, and you finish the encounter. And also dictates how many you are spawning. You have also contact, which is like this is like the special rules. And here, if you play for every player pay 2 contact, you can add 1 turn card. So basically, you will be trying to get as many turns as possible in this encounter using the contact. And when there are 6 or more turn cards, you win. So basically, you can reshuffle their influence decks, and this number ends. Yeah, and if you lose, this is what happens when you lose. So when you want to, you can flee. Basically, you can decide you don't want to even play this encounter because you don't have a chance. This is the kind of penalty you're gonna get. So each dreamer will seal a card or discard one progress card, and we'll talk a little bit about that later. But you can see also what happens here when they do. So when they do morphing, they can lose, the players lose hour for every character, and hours are represented in here in this awesome looking clock. If you have the basic actions, each dreamer in range 1 seals 1 card, which is painful. I will talk a little bit about it later in the video. Or if you have the red one, each dreamer in range 2 seals 1 card. So basically those strangers will be trying to seal your card, and you'll be trying to contact them to add more time, and when you have enough time, they will be basically, you win this encounter, and you can actually, in this card, you actually does not get any reward. Other cards may say that you will have a loot, so that's cool. There's also this deliverance, but we'll not talk about it because this is like an additional mechanic that comes in play afterwards. So coming to our characters and what basically happens. So we'll have those decks. Let's say that we'll have a gambler deck, and I'll just talk a little about it. So first of all, every turn you will draw 4 cards. Yeah, and here is basically the amount of resource we can get from this card. What we can do is we can basically take this card, play it for 2, and that's it. We basically use this resource, we discard this card, and it goes to our discard pile. So we got like our normal like deck, discard pile, and we'll have like a sealed card later. So every time a card in here or an encounter or whatever will tell us to seal a card, we take first card from the top of our deck and we put it out, and whenever we'll reshuffle our deck, it does not go back to our deck. So basically this card is lost for us until we'll be able to restart via event on demand, on the map or so forth. So it's really painful, especially that when you are reshuffling your deck, you basically are getting 1 pain, or you need to. There are some other solutions, but you, for example, can seal 3 cards or lose gems or ether. But basically, it's painful because every time you reshuffle your deck, you're paying some kind of a price. So you want to reshuffle your deck because you will have all your cards back and so forth. But from the other hand, it's always painful. And having less and less, like more and more sealed card, makes you reshuffle your deck more and more. And if you get 9 pain, you basically die. So okay, so the first thing is that you have this kind of like you can play those cards for their normal cost. I'll try to find you a progress cards just to kind of give you a better look. So this is like what you can do as a resource, but also you can also play it for its special skill. And here, for example, for 0, you can place light token on your space. It is active until the end of the card, or draw a card. So basically, there are 3 uses for this card. I can use it to pay 2 contact, or I can use it to put a light token, which is awesome, or I can just draw another card, right? And there are some progress cards. And the cool thing about the progress cards is this is like an enchantment to us. So we can also play it normally for a resource, right? Or we can place this card for 6 contact and 1 pain, and we can put it in front of us, right? And from now on, we can use this special skills as much as we can. The biggest change from the kind of older prototype is that we will be not using it only inside of dreams, but we can use it when we are traveling through the map, And for example, this card is actually used through the optimization because what you see is discard when resolving delta phase. Choose 2 options instead of 1. Okay, so your natural question is, what is delta phase? Which is like, as you can see, there are some kind of learning curve in here. When you go through the slumbers, right, at some point at the end of your deck, you will have a green slumber. This is a delta phase. Delta phase meaning that this is our dream cycle ends and the new one will begin. So after the dream cycle, we'll reshuffle all our bad encounters or red slumbers and put the delta phase on the bottom and start again. Obviously, the slumber deck is deck builded, so we start with a small slumber deck, but we'll be getting more and more cards, so the delta phase will be further and farther away every time. So it's getting like the level is hard. So you can choose one of options during the delta 4. You can cure all your pain, you can unseal all your cards, and unseal meaning that we're taking them from here and put back into the deck. We can unflip all your progress cards because the cards sometimes requires us to flip them. So from there on, we cannot use them. We can reshuffle your influence deck. So basically, we can just reshuffle our deck, or we can restore our masks. So sometimes we'll lose it or whatever. Then we are adding 4 hours to our clock. This is the clock. Hold on, I'll just find some kind of token. Oh, I don't think that I took token in here. So, okay, so you put token in here, and this is a resource that we can use to various things. For example, to move or whatever. I will just explain it a little bit later once we'll get into the details. So this progress actually makes us possible to use 2 instead of 1, which is a big one. Like usually you want a lot of them. So this card is kind of cool, and when you put it as a progress, it doesn't go back after the dream, it stays with you. Here are the kind of like more easier cards to play. As you can see, they have like effort, for example, so you can use it for 2 resource, or you can pay 1 pain to gain 3 red, which is awesome, or you can draw a card. So a lot of multi-use cards enabling you to play some cool things. I don't think that there are some more progress in here. Let me check, because the starting deck is only the start. You'll be throwing at deck building your deck quite a lot. All right, and the way you play is you draw 4 cards. Then you do actions depending on what's happening and depending on what's on the map. And then all players, when they all finish, we go back to the current turn steps. We resolve, and this is visible to us, so we know what we need to plan for. So this is visible. Sorry. And then after resolving the enemy, we go back to our turns. What is cool is that places in between the dreams, we actually keep our hand, we keep our wounds, we keep everything that we are going to build. There are some cards that, for example, let us put tokens on them and whatever. So we do not reset it after every dream, after every dungeon, let's call it, like every dream crawl. But we keep it and manage it, and it is like much longer cycle until we get, for example, back to the awakening on the world map, and then we can reset everything. So then we lose all our progress, but we also can heal, we can reshuffle our deck, and like everything like gets restarted. So a lot of amazing combos is in here, as you can see. Like I will not be going through all the kind of card, but all of them were done in a way to enable some really amazing plays, depending on where you are at and what's happening, and also just look at how many more influence cards is waiting here for you. Just some kind of quick looks on them, and there is even, like, I don't want to spoil too much, but even more influence cards are waiting for you in here in the exploration cards. So those are the special cards that you'll be getting in a dream. All right, so this is like more or less what's happening. I'll be kind of now showing you the spoiler. So a huge spoiler alert, because I want to show you the story element from the other dreams. So yeah, like if you don't want to spoil anything, this is the second dream. Just turn away now, because there will be spoilers now from now on, and it can kind of destroy you this one kind of dream, the fun of exploring this one of the dream. I will try to keep it light, but yeah. All right, so these dreams, okay, so this is like work in progress cards, obviously, is called Not Alone in the Dark. We are trying to find our friend Dreammonger. Yeah, and basically this is a setup for it. We can see here a setup card. So we are placing this one on A2. Hold on a second. All right, back. All right, so as you can see, this is some kind of closed market. What we want to do, we'll be traveling through it, and I will just really quickly go through what is happening here. So this is our spawn point where we start, and there are some special text indicating here what's happening. So first of all, it is dark everywhere in those two locations, starting locations. We can see watch closely, there's more than you think, okay? Don't step on the glass, okay? And we can start to see that here's some glass, and here is some glass. Okay, what's more? We got here, I wonder what's in this chest. Okay, here is some chest, I guess. What are those shapes in the dark? Okay, so there are some shapes in the dark, but we don't know what it is. They kind of, for me, they're looking a little bit like zombies. Watch out, we don't know what hits in this hole. So there is some kind of hole in here, and we don't know what's there. Okay, there are some special rules to these dreams. Sorry. So first rule is searching for in the dark. So we can search those kind of places using free contact or free free contact or free yellow. Sorry, I forgot the name. And we're resolving the script. So here are some special scripts, and we'll be just looking over them and reading what happened. So the script book is something new that helps us to bring a bit more story and more choices inside of the game. So we added that for free. And this is the kind of like the overall enemy that will be haunting us for this one. So as you can see, there is something in the dark, those kind of creepy characters in here. And we put it in the entity slot, and this card is active until the dream ends. For basic action, each dreamer places one threat token on one agency space. So we'll be putting tokens to our agency space, and those tokens will obviously cannot be two of them, only one per space, and we are deciding what space we want to add. The basic action is each dreamer on space with a darkness seals 2 cards, which hurts us quite a lot. So sealing cards is basically, as I explained it before. And then we have like a special action, which each dreamer in range 1 from any threat token suffers 1 pain. Then each dreamer with night space places 1 threat on their space. So again, it like multiplies the threat token. This obviously represents them following us or things like that. And so as you can see, just like a quick things like, for example, this card that I showed you before that makes on my space makes light. It's kind of awesome because when I see that there's a special action incoming from our turn card, then I know that, okay, maybe oh yeah, for example here. So I know that there will be basic action happening, then they will be moving. They're actually not moving, so I ignore this one, and then there's a special action, and I know that I want to be, for example, in a room with light, so I'm using this card to make it light. Yeah, so it actually puts you in a very kind of creative mode of how to play my cards, how to omit, and I know what is happening. There is some kind of random effects with the roll, but that's most of it. And the other random element is the luck die. So whenever we're playing things, once a turn, we can decide that we want to add resource from the luck die, and it is quite powerful resource because we can even get up to additional free resources. So for example, that I want to search in the dark, I'm playing with my friends, so I need to play 6 contact, but I only have a 3 or I have 4. So I can decide, okay, let me throw in a luck die, I roll it, and now I can add 2 and I can perform this action. I can do it only once per turn, but it's quite powerful. As you can see, this one tells us that this action fails. Basically, I do not have enough. And the X, oh, sorry. Yeah, and the X basically tells us like I failed, even if I had enough resources and all, I fail, and there's a special penalty for it as well. So there's like this kind of push your luck element that also can be managed. One way to manage it is getting shining games, which is quite awesome. So at every part of the game, if you have, for example, 3 cards that you don't want to have on your hand, and your hand cap is 6, you can, at any moment of the game, just discard them and get a shining gem. And you might have as many shining gems as you want. And then at any point in the game, you can say, okay, I discard a shining gem to reroll my dice. So there's like additional like reroll possibility, and also there's like a lot of strategies concerning shining gems. You can use them in a lot of different formats. They are quite helpful, and there are some special deck builds around them, so they are kind of cool. So just to show you the quick example of what can, again, spoilers here and so forth. So in these dreams, there will be, obviously there are some locations that you'll be discovering. I will be not showing you that, but I can show you some kind of rules that can change in here. And again, please be aware that those will be spoilerish. So there can be some special things that are happening. And at some point, you might learn, not always, but you might learn that this card is active until this dream ends. Fortunately, they are just mannequins. So all those special characters that you've seen are just mannequins. And this changes. So you are discarding all threat tokens from spaces with light. So now we see them, we know that they are just mannequins, so there's no threat from it. They are not doing anything to us. It was all in our head. And when the space becomes light, you discard this all threat tokens from it. So yeah, again, like getting this card to learn, we know now that this can be, they are only mannequins and we can deal with them, not some zombies. This is actually Dreammonger, our friend that we can find. Here we have Fear of the Dark, a special roll card. Place this card face down in front card. So when you are moving in one way, you have the Fear of the Dark. So now your character is paralyzed from Fear of the Dark, and from now on you can say anything besides yes, no, and I'm afraid to other players. And this card is active until any other dreamers say light. When they say light, you can show this card to other players and remove it back to the secrets. I actually played with this card, and it was around 10 minutes until someone said light, and no one even noticed that I was silent and saying only yes, no, and I'm afraid. Which was, yeah, that was a lot of fun. There's also special wisdom cards that we can discover, that you can always find something in the darkness. So from now on, we can always roll a log die to, we can suffer 1 wound, or we can gain a shining gem, or we can restore 1 item, which is very powerful. So, again, we can have a special rule, and from now on, even if we're, in a space that with nothing on it, we can just use this rule to gain something out of it. And again, the shining gems are we can use Shining Game to reroll this roll. So additional thing. Yeah, and this is actually a secret corridor. Another one, so I'll be not showing you. Another thing is that there are some, this is a market, right? So what is in the market? Some items, right? So we'll be able to buy some items during the game. I'll just show you real quickly. Just to show you the idea of the items. You have the flashlight, which seems to be very useful. You have the key to everything, which is, you know, interesting. You have the warehouse, so the item can be a full warehouse, because why not? And you have like a common hammer, which is, you know, it's good to have a hammer. So they all come with some awesome sounding like a fluff text, but also like quite different rules that often use the lag die, use shining games, use light and darkness. And there is just so many, because this is only one dream, and you can see how many possibilities there is in just one dream, and we haven't talked about the mask and everything. So the overall, the gaming scope, and you can trust me that there are so many different dreams. Some are underwater, some that are using totally different things. I would love to tell more, but I cannot because of the spoilers ahead of me. But yeah, but the gameplay possibilities and the level of complexity with all those components of those cards is huge. There's so much content, gameplay content, so much story content, so much cool things that you want to know. All those hints that are around here. I don't want to spoil you the solutions, but there are hints in here, there are hints in here, and when you look at them, think about them longer, or discuss it with your friends, it all makes sense. Like, okay, let's go there, not there. So at first you might be like, kind of like, it's weird that we have 6-7 places to search for, but I don't know where to start. But when you start talking about it and kind of thinking about it, then it's easier to make a decision. And yeah, the level of work that was put into that is really huge to make all of it playable, because when you have like 200 like skill cards, the influence cards, to make sure that all of them are not, there's no infinite combos and all of them are balanced more or less, is quite huge. To make sure that every dream have all of those kind of special rules like this. So every dream feel like a whole another kind of game, even if there are only 2 or 3 special rules, because there are so many different possibilities and the team is totally different and what we can do is totally different, and the way we interact with this dream is totally different. And there's like this also overarching story of what's happening that I will be not spoiling at all, but it's really great. I can tell you because I kind of spoiled it for myself, just to know. So yeah, there is a lot waiting for you here. I hope that you guys are excited after what I showed you. I am excited, really excited, because there's so many awesome things that is happening here, and so many mysteries to be solved, and so many gameplay possibilities to be explored. Yeah, so basically this is the current state of Etherfields. As we said in the update, we are giving ourselves some extra time to kind of polish all those components, to balance everything, to add some extra ideas that we had listed down, but we didn't want it to, like, we didn't have the time to put in. And now once we are finishing all the files, we can kind of finally add it, and really excited about it. And yeah, and I hope you guys are too. I hope that you'll be fine with this kind of additional delay, because I feel like this game is potential to be like really amazing, and we're really extremely proud of it, and we want it to be the best it can be. So thank you very much. Sorry if this presentation, hold on, I'll just, yeah, okay. Sorry if this presentation wasn't perfect, but like working from home is, like, normally I would just do like a normal camera shootout and so forth, but it's hard currently. Other than that, I hope you guys are safe and healthy. The situation is kind of hard on all of us. But yeah, but let's hope that it will pass away quite fast, and it will get back to normals. And from our part, we'll just want to make sure that when once Etherfields will get to you, it will just bring you so much fun and so much surprises and excitement and so forth. So hope we're going in this direction. Thank you very much, guys, and bye-bye.